Hey, Courtney, who's today's episode supported by?
Colossal.
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 Colossal. Anyway, this episode is supported by Colossal, a brand new way to discover beats online. Colossal isn't live yet, but we've had an early preview and we're excited to tell you about it. Colossal lets artists gain exclusive access to beats from top industry producers. These are beats that are usually only reserved for major artists, and they're partnering with new producers every day. The Colossal app is the fastest way for artists to find beats that they love and make their best music. The app has a killer feature called Vibes, which is a totally new take on beat discovery. Just describe the kind of beats you're looking for, and Vibes gives you a personalized feed to scroll through, just like TikTok. We all know browsing on YouTube for beats can be a pain. Colossal also has simple licensing options, giving independent artists full ownership of songs they make with no complicated terms or restrictions. We'll tell you more about Colossal soon, but if you're a producer and interested in getting involved, check the link in the video description to get in touch with the Colossal team. Now, on to your episode.
And a lot of Mount Vernon.
I try to figure out why people like you so much in the comment
so
section.
Crazy to say. All right, let's.
No, because you know what?
Very
We say it
likable.
all the time. I know.
But no, you're right. There's a
They
little
like you a lot.
I do the same. I wonder too. And that's not a bad thing. I'm just truly enamored with you guys. I'm just a guy in a do-rag.
Oh, look at his wrist.
Just the guy in a do-rag. I'm not gonna lie, that was spoken like a guy that people like. I'm not gonna hold you.
Yeah,
but,
no, he's like, yeah, he'd be a great politician, man.
But
Whoa, don't put that on me.
Anywho,
back
when
to
you
this.
see us in a different room,
You know what
you already
the
know.
vibe is. Well, first of all, where are we at, bro?
I'm gonna get there.
Like, what is this? This is a what?
So this
A
is,
podcast.
and we are at the engineers like HQ first
Yeah.
off, and I just want to thank Ali and the team for actually
sir.
letting us use the space and things of that
Absolutely.
nature. And right now we have a special guest. Should I introduce the podcast first? Is that what you want?
That's what I wanted.
Okay,
like, I was
great.
leaning towards it, but I mean, we could go straight to the guy. I want to know something about our guest, like, really bad.
I know. So I'm gonna do a short intro today.
Yes.
All right.
Just
Please
fast.
make sure you comment, like, and subscribe. You can also become a member. Comment Rosetta EQ Gold version, $50 in the store. All members already saw this because it already happened. Devvon Terrell Pro Tools user.
Was that a world record?
That was really
That was-
good.
yeah, that was
Usually
like-
it's way longer.
Yeah.
Like that was really
All
good.
right. My name is LJFL Studio Warrior.
And you know, it's Courtney T of 12, as usual.
12. Courtney
Feds.
12.
The Feds.
I appreciate
Big 12,
that.
not the little one.
Feds.
Okay.
Hey,
So
what's
today we have a very, very special guest. And this guest I actually discovered off of just clips and just content and things of that
bunch of
nature.
content.
And it was very intriguing to me because she actually did explain something that I was like really curious about in the recording process and things of that nature. Ladies and gentlemen, we have engineer, producer, artist,
Songwriter.
many hats, Simone Torres.
I'm so happy.
Credits
What's
are out
up?
of this world.
Credits from Jesse J, Chloe, Cardi B. I got so many
Normani,
questions just about stuff. Like there's a bunch of stuff. And we just found out that she is also a New Yorker. You're a New Yorker as well.
I'm from Long Island. Yes.
Right.
Okay.
Let's go.
So
Let's
you're
go.
sitting with
You too?
Yeah.
That's wild. Center East is where I grew up, and then my parents were in Port Jeff Station now.
Down the block. I'm
Wow.
from Holtzville.
No way.
Look at that.
that's
man.
wild.
That's so weird.
I'm not gonna let something in the water.
We in the exit 60s, bro. Come on.
Yeah, y'all are.
Look.
Look. I'm in 22, so
Oh, yeah, you're
Oh,
Queens.
that's okay.
He's
I'm
just-
early, but I just
Yeah.
moved to Long Island. Like I'm new to Long Island, so I'm from Brooklyn, but then I
One of
moved to
our
Long
Oh,
Island.
no way.
Yeah. So when you said that, I'm like, wow, that's crazy.
So, what a small world. So, you live there
Indeed.
now and you're out here
Yeah.
for this?
Oh no, I'm not just out here for this. Yeah, I'm just out here for this. Yeah. We just came out here just to like shoot with everybody. Like literally, like people like you and stuff like that. Like we just have like a running list of people we really want to talk to. So
Yeah.
like when we knew we were gonna be at LA, we was like bet like let's just hit them up
Oh,
and just
sick.
come. Yeah. So we definitely wanted to. So first thing we always ask everyone,
Yeah.
is what was your DAW journey? So what was the DAW you started in,
Yeah.
and then where did you land now?
Yeah. I mean, like, starting off, I had no intention of engineering, producing anything. It all scared me. And I just was a singer for
Right.
so long. I started gigging in wedding bands, corporate functions, restaurants when I was 9. And then I had, like, I made my first album when I was 11. And it was like a long journey, right? Of that kind of stuff.
Right.
And so I would use GarageBand just to record covers. I had my little, like, Yeti microphone.
Oh wow!
Shout out to
And I
Bruce.
would
Shout out to
sing
the Yetis.
things and be like, I'm singing. But then at Berkeley, I was so scared of all of it still.
Right.
In my MTech class, my friend would do my projects for me.
Uh-huh.
And then it wasn't until I did a scholarship portfolio and I had to hire this guy to record me singing, and he didn't put any auto-tune, no reverb, only let me do one take of each song. I brought karaoke tracks, and he charged me $400 for me to do one take of each thing, and I was so mad. And
Of course.
Then I decided to learn audio.
Oh, yeah,
And then
so-
I started
oh my
at Berkeley.
God, we
Shout
have
out
a
to
similar
a
story.
friend in the MTech class.
Dave, top
and-
3.
Yeah,
hey
facts.
man, we just found a new op for the podcast.
Big ops,
Shout
I
out to
ain't
the
gonna lie.
$400 garage band dude.
You know, he probably was coming up. I'm gonna be honest with you. That is literally my story. Like as
Really?
far as why I got into engineering. Yeah, I was an artist.
Necessity.
There was like I'll never forget. It was a
Necessity.
session I had in the Bronx. You can
If you
use
know,
that
you
for
know.
what you want. And I remember, we recorded. I was so like I wasn't like in a session. I wasn't like in the way sound. And I remember he gave me a CD, and I remember I had to pay him, and I got that CD, and I was like, this, and I threw the CD away. I said, I don't even want it. I hate it so much.
Yes.
And then that's what made me get into it. Yeah.
And it was the core of it for me was I never felt like I sounded like me, but I didn't know how to communicate what was wrong. I just knew it wasn't right.
Right.
And I didn't know how to articulate that. And so, then to answer your question, Pro Tools. Then I started the Pro Tools journey.
And it's been a wrap.
Yeah.
Let me say this to you. The funny thing about you, the way you work, as
Yeah.
far as what I've seen,
Yeah.
makes all the sense in the world. Because you talking about communication, like I feel like that's like your superpower. Like
you.
when I see you work, obviously I've never had the pleasure of working with you studio, but when I've seen you work, I've seen like how you communicate with artists and how important I see like how you do that and stuff like that. So like
Absolutely.
for me, how did you go from New York to out here? Obviously, you're in LA, right?
I
Like,
mean, I live in LA.
Gotcha.
Like, real close to here. It's nice. But first I went to Berkeley in Boston.
Gotcha.
That's where I did my undergrad, learned engineering things. And then I moved out here really briefly because I wanted to work for a mentor that I had. And then he was like, hey, if you want to work with me, move to Atlanta. So then I lived in Atlanta for 5 years.
Right.
And I would travel out here for work, but I was based there, and I would work for hotels doing hotel sound to like make my living, like doing AV and A1 work,
Yeah.
whatever.
Wow.
Right.
And I didn't get to quit that until after my first Grammy nom because I would use that to support myself.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then I moved out here in 2020, 4 days before the lockdown.
No, wow.
But it worked out super well.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
it was a really big blessing. I didn't know it at the time, but
Right.
all my work was out here. I was based in Atlanta, I was flying, and then all of that shut down, right?
Right.
So if I wasn't out here,
a lot of stuff just wouldn't have kept like
You know what I
spiraling
mean?
and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Wow. So basically during the lockdown it's like when you look like kind of like locked in like
locked in out here. 'Cause
Right.
When I was in Atlanta and I was with my mentor, I was working as his engineer, and then I would
Right.
vocal produce on his behalf, and that's like where I really cut my teeth those 5 years.
Got you.
And then out here, 2020 is when I went out on my own.
got you.
I
And
want-
that's been it.
I wonder, from a vocal production standpoint, I think I like to call myself a vocal producer
Yeah.
from time to time. And a lot of that is communication, which we obviously see you're amazing at.
Right.
But also, I wonder if you play an instrument, because I think my vocal production mind always goes to chords. It goes to my musician background. And I didn't start as a
Yeah.
vocalist, but that just came to mind.
Oh, that's sick. But I think that's what's so cool about vocal production is like we all have that superpower, I think, that we
Right.
can bring to the table. So like just like what you do, for me it's singing.
Yeah.
So like everything is that. So
Yeah.
everything
Right.
is my instrument. So like people are like, how do you write your background parts? I'm like, I don't know. Right. Like I know it's like it sounds like yeah, because
Yeah.
it's just like it's when I feel in that moment. I'm very spiritual with that kind of stuff. I'm like, oh, okay,
Yes.
it's whatever God puts on my heart at that time to
Right.
do.
Absolutely.
And just go, because
Yeah.
when you approach like background vocals and
Yeah.
stuff like that, right? Like some artists, it's like a daunting task. Like, it's kind of
100%.
scary. Like I know you even run into like what's some things you run into when you're doing background vocals with an artist. For instance, like how some artists be like, "Can you mute my background? I don't want to hear it. I just want to hear the lead and do it and stuff like that." Like what's some things you run into with the background vocals with artists and things of that nature?
Well, I do that all the time.
Okay.
Like it's very rare that I'll have them all playing when they're cutting something.
Okay.
Unless it's an artist that like really wants to like hear where it is, because I know I can play it all in my head, like when it's going. So then I'm able to like zoom in and like know what I'm looking for more, and I can be
Right.
more articulate. So I don't have to do as much Melodyne work and like whatever. And
Got
I'm listening
you.
to the approach, the character, all the delivery on there. So yeah, I mean. That's definitely a thing that I do. So I always have an SM7 in the room when I'm vocal producing too.
Nice.
Okay.
The trusty SM7.
Love an SM7. But because if I'm giving a harmony and they're not able to get it,
Right.
if it's a little difficult for them, then I can just record it and they can sing along with mine.
Yes.
Got it.
I
And
can
call
do
it
that
a
quick,
day.
you
Because
know?
boy, going no, like
Because then I'll stop. I'll move on and come back because
Okay.
that's like my big thing. Like you don't want your artist to get frustrated.
Yeah.
And
Got it.
nothing good happens from that.
That's true.
understood. So you just try to keep the flow of the session.
Keep the flow going and I'll come back and then normally it's easy.
That's an amazing, I guess, thought, because I guess one of the things that really I really struggle with is super patience, I guess, because I grew up and I still do just record myself and I vocal produce myself. I work quick as hell. So when vocal producing others, I guess what is some advice you'd give when, I guess, just working with others in that capacity?
For the patience aspect?
Yes.
I think like the way that I approach vocal production is very much like we're a team. So it's like we're working together to achieve the best product that we can, the best piece of art that we can.
Right.
So I think like I don't know. I honestly don't, this is going to sound like cheesy maybe, but I never really get frustrated if they can't get something because then I feel like it's on me to explain it better.
Understood. Okay.
You know?
Like it's your job to get that out of them.
Yeah. Like there's something that like, because there's no like them versus me.
course,
It's all like the thing. So I think what helps me is like not getting stuck on things though.
Right.
If there's something that's causing like a little bit of friction, I move on immediately.
Okay.
Take a break, whatever, and come back to it because like I'm telling 98% of the time that fixes it, and then they can get it right away, like that first time.
The minute you like you doing something over and you step away for a second, and then they come back
Nail
one
it.
time.
100%.
absolutely.
Or if it's a harmony or a lead part or whatever, if you take it when they're struggling, you say go take a break, whatever. You tune it so that they hear themselves doing it. There's something psychologically that happens, and it's like way easier for them to do it for some reason. I don't know why, but it's real.
Right.
Speaking of tune,
Yeah.
I think we're ready to play a game.
Okay. Cool. It's early.
Yeah. So we like to play a game
scared.
called One Gotta Go. We like to play a game called One Gotta Go. Basically, we'll give you a couple of options, and you choose to live one and live without the other. Okay, and this week's is going to be autotune versus Melodyne.
No. Absolutely not. No. I can't because it's too. They do such different things.
Right,
Like they're
right.
not the same use case.
Right.
If you make me pick, I'll give reasoning. But I use them both on everything that I do.
Got you.
I can
Okay.
imagine,
But it's always like it's auto. Yeah, they're just really different.
So I guess you know what? I'll ask you this.
Yeah, that's a hard one.
In what scenarios do you use the autotune
yeah.
or the Melodyne? Like, what's the scenarios?
Yeah. So autotune is always on when I'm tracking. I would say 98% of the time.
Okay.
It's like more rare that it's not on.
Right.
A lot of the times it's in chromatic. Sometimes it's set to the key. Whatever. It depends on the genre.
Right.
Like how like tight we want that tuning. But then that's on during tracking, and then after the fact, I'm perfecting in Melodyne. So I'm crafting in Melodyne.
Okay.
That's then going back through autotune because I want that sound of autotune to stay.
So you're hitting So
it's
obviously
both.
you're tracking autotune, but then you go to put Melodyne first and then let that go into the autotune.
Yeah, exactly.
Understood.
Yeah.
So it's getting
That's
a
why
more
it's
perfect
different.
pitch going into, a stronger,
but
tighter
even
pitch.
like I'll have my flex tune on to like I usually have it like 27, 29, whatever, because
Okay.
I want that imperfection there. So sometimes I'm even pushing in Melodyne for it to be more imperfect there, so it doesn't sound as tuned like as then it.
Got you.
You know what I'm saying?
Understood.
So like that's why it's like
I'll give you an easier
That's
one.
actually
then.
fire. Wow.
I'll give you
great.
an easier one then, okay? Let's say the flex or not vibrato. Too easy. Flex or humanize. What gotta
flex
go?
tune. Oh, what's gotta go?
Yeah.
Humanize. Sorry, I love flex tune.
Oh my God.
I know I love flex tune.
You like flex tune?
People sleep on flex tune.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
I would have thought you would have said humanize, is more important, but
Yeah,
yeah,
but humanize just applies to vibrato.
Okay.
And people don't I think that flex tune does what people think that humanize does.
Yeah.
Got you.
Because flex tune allows a certain amount of time of the wrong signal to pass before it affects it. Humanize is specifically affecting the vibrato.
Right.
So to me, they're hard, but if I kept it on chromatic anyway, I can make it work with flex tune
Flex,
without
yeah.
the humanize.
Got you.
Okay.
And speaking of the chromatic and autotune, that was one of the clips that I first found you on.
Oh, sick.
That went super viral.
Sick.
That you were kind of explaining to a class of people, kind of like, sometimes I just will. And I want you to explain that you pretty much said that you leave the autotune in chromatic, off, like in the beginning of the session. Like, what's that process?
What was that event too, by the way?
So that was a workshop I did. Well, so what happened was I wanted to start doing more things where I could bring cameras into the vocal production sessions.
Right.
Because I can't do that when I'm working with artists. It's a safe space, you know?
Right.
So I did a workshop at the Village with She Is the Music. I was like, okay, I can bring cameras in.
Nice.
now.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, so that's what that was.
Wow.
So what I was saying in that video is that when you have a singer with wide vibrato, I have a wide vibrato.
Right.
When people say, I don't like autotune on my voice, it's normally that. It's normally that their vibrato's wide and it makes them sound, and like
Wobble.
people don't like it.
Right.
Obviously. But that's because it's trying to snap your vibrato to the key too,
Right.
and snap you to the key. So leaving it in chromatic is literally just bringing, and when you have your chromatic on and then your flex tune on, it's literally just taking the ends of the notes and bringing them up to where they need to be.
Gotcha.
And I love that.
Right. It's just a way more subtle way to kind of use it for singers. So you do that on a
Yeah.
case-by-case basis for the most part.
Yeah, because
Okay.
it depends on the genre. Like if
Right.
it's pop, I'm putting it in the key.
Right.
If it's like any of my music, I always keep mine in chromatic because I have
Gotcha.
a wide ass vibrato.
Yes, you do. I've listened to your EP. By the way, shout out to you. You just recently
yes.
released an EP as well. Just shout out the thick of it. The thick of it.
Because now
is-
that makes it so fire, because my biggest thing on the pod is I love learning from people who practice what they preach.
Oh,
facts.
So, congratulations.
And you know, it's always fun as, you know, people in the space, right?
Yeah.
It's different and very, and I can imagine and empathize how it must have felt to put out that. It was your first EP, if I'm not mistaken, right?
I put out my first original music ever. This
Ever,
year.
right? Ever. Okay, cool. So to know the plethora of of songs you've done, I Like It, Cardi B, and all the stuff with Jessie J and all these other people. I know deep down it's like when you put out like the music from you, it's such a jump. And what I'll say is when I listen to it because I was like, let me see who she really is. Like, I know you do pop records, R&B, but I was like, let me see who you are. And you are an R&B, like, to me, you're like such an R&B soulful head. Like, as soon as I hear something, I was like, yo,
Yeah,
like, we
it's
did
like-
this shit, like, this is our shit, like, the chord progression and stuff. So, like, as far as, making that jump for yourself and things of that nature, like, what was that like for you making that jump? Yeah.
That was a really big deal for me because that's why I started this whole audio journey to start with, right?
Yeah.
Was to be able to do this for myself. But then you get so caught up, and I love working with other people, helping other people achieve their dreams, right?
Right.
But then you put your own like on the back burner.
Sure.
And it's not that the vocal production dreams and the engineering dreams aren't also dreams of mine, but it's like you put that other dream of yours kind of in your back pocket
Understood.
to help other people.
Right.
And so this was a really big thing for me. I started writing music that I felt like was finally mine in 2021.
Okay.
Because until then I would write things, and I grew up like mimicking.
Right.
Right? Like as a wedding singer.
You were doing covers and stuff.
Yeah, 100%. For
Right.
14 years of my life. And I never knew what was like the right fit for me.
Right.
So it took, can I curse?
You absolutely can. This is not a family show.
Sick. It took a shitty guy. It took a shitty guy to make me feel a lot of feelings. And I was like, okay, cool. Now these things feel like me.
Right.
And now it's cool because the second EP is also done, and
Oh,
I'm on the
nice.
album now.
Right.
So next year I'll release the second EP.
Oh, you got the bug.
But it's so fun. But that first project was really scary to release because we grow so much as engineers, producers, artists, right? Like as we're creating. So like the Thick of It EP I did in 2021.
Right. Gotcha.
Right? Bent I did last year.
Gotcha.
But I put it out first because it felt like the first thing I want to say. As an
Wow.
artist.
Okay. Got you. Okay.
You know, like the whole thing of like I've been waiting patiently to be my priority, like at the end.
Right,
You know?
right.
Like that felt like the first thing I wanted to say. And Bent is about my experience in the music industry. I don't like talk about that too much, but I'm not gonna.
Got you.
But yeah, I will say, like, even putting out like the first single, "Breathe In,"
Right.
because I made it so long ago, so scary.
Right.
I called my mom that day that it was going to release, and I was having a panic attack. I was like, "It's not good enough. I'm better now. What is this? Like, it's scary."
Right. Yeah.
But I don't want things to die on a hard drive anymore.
Right. Oh my God. What a that line.
That was perfect.
Oh my.
That's
if we had like a bomb or like a air horn,
That'd be it.
Facts.
Die on a hard, because there's so many. I bet you there's so many artists, like, because this is gonna be a live chat when it first comes out, so I know they like, yo, facts, because a lot of artists, we have a lot of friends that, they make so much music, but nothing ever comes out, and you're
100%.
right, it dies on a hard drive. Even when I always tell my friends, I'm like, yo, put out the music because.
Yes.
It's beautiful to let people see your growth.
That's exactly what it is. And like, it's so easy to say that to others, but once it's you, it's scary as shit.
Yeah, scary shit.
It's
I get
scary
that.
as shit, but you got to do it.
You gotta
And
do
so that's
it.
like what my whole thing is like with this. I'm like, okay, I'll do that. I'm releasing the Thick of It EP in Spanish too. So like,
Oh,
that's what
wow.
I'm
Smart.
recording,
Okay, got
which
you.
is super cool because I've
Right.
gotten so much love from like the Latin Recording Academy,
Sure.
the award they gave me last year, and,
Yes.
and whatever. So that's been really cool. But I'm making now I'm cutting all my vocals, everything I'm doing live on Twitch.
Oh, you're doing it.
I just started and I
Fire.
love it.
Isn't it
It's
so much fun?
I love it. I'm a little baby creator on there right now.
Yeah.
I got like 120 followers. You know what I
Let's
mean?
go.
Like I just started,
Yeah.
but I love it.
Yeah.
So much.
It's
Like
fun.
even when I'm recording my Spanish stuff and there's people that are native Spanish speakers, I'm a no sabo. I'm embarrassingly no sabo, but I work to learn. But when there's native speakers on there, they're like, oh, softer T on this or whatever. And then it's so cool because it's like,
It's
oh,
all
we made it
inclusive.
together.
Yeah.
You know, like as a community.
That's fire.
I'm
It's
so with you. Like, I go live every Wednesday on mine. It just makes, I make songs with them. Sometimes I'm like, yo, send me a loop, somebody. Like, it's
So fun.
It's so fun. My whole album was literally made on live with my fans every week.
No way.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
That was so fun. Like that. And then guess what? When the album came out, I put the biggest contributors on the back of the album to thank you. So it just.
Oh, that's so smart.
Yeah, because it feels more. You get it.
No, but that's exactly what it is. Because I'm just like, I just want to be able to. Like people have, I think like over the last year, not to change topics too much, but like over the last year, 2 years, I've been trying to figure out how to do the education because people want the education piece from me, but in a way that feels good, that's not putting too much of a price as a barrier to entry.
Understood.
Because I hate that.
Yeah.
When it's like, oh, you could only learn this stuff if you can afford to.
Right.
That's not cool.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, I'd rather build a community that's bigger,
Right.
and like
and be able to give it back.
Yes,
that is
exactly.
literally our philosophy.
Yeah,
like,
that's why I was like, oh,
yeah,
we have
you
lots
say
to
you
talk
check out the
about.
content. Yeah, like
Absolutely.
just been building our community, and then slowly we're starting to be able to monetize things and then give back to them. Like for instance, like realize y'all, we're in LA. Filming this is very expensive to do, but luckily we were able, because of our community, to like have sponsors, and then obviously our community has like, we do like memberships and stuff like that. So it's like we're starting to create the economy so that we can sit down with Simone Torres. You know what I mean? Like that wasn't possible. That wouldn't have been possible for us if we didn't get it out the mud. So I totally understand that. This is all
100%.
fake. This is because of our fans. You know what I mean?
So sick.
Yeah, heck yeah.
So cool.
So like, even with the Spanish side, and things of that nature, obviously you worked with some. You worked on one of my favorite records. Like I'm talking about sonically, like just I like it for Cardi B.
Oh yeah.
When I first heard that record, I'm not gonna lie, that was like in the moment, in her moment. And and we all in my head. I'm from New York.
Yeah.
So in that, I was like, "Yo, Cardi Spanish." Like people forget maybe. And that song came out, and I said, "Oh,
it's out of here.
My God!"
On the other,
It's
bang.
On the other side of that, you loved it for the Latinx aspect of it.
Oh, yeah.
Me as a Bronx native, I heard that record and I was like, and this is a perfect fusion of hip hop, Latinx, and the Bronx.
It was
the beat is
amazing,
fire.
bro. It was a
This is fire.
smash.
So crazy.
So in what capacity did you work on that record? Because I've seen you
Yes,
with a lot of
yeah.
credits from Cardi B and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So like, in what capacity, especially that song? Like what was that?
So this is when I was working with Kook at the time, and
Got
so
you.
Kook was brought into vocal producing. So I engineered Cardi on that, tuned everything. So like, it's wild. Like like the end hook of the song, it's a half hook. I don't know if you ever noticed that.
Okay.
It's because I messed up a fly, and then we liked it, and like it's like stuff like that is so cool.
That's
Because
crazy.
this is 2016. I had just been in the game for a year.
Wow.
So like, you know what I mean?
You was like,
I was
okay.
like, okay. And then we get this record, and I'm like, oh, okay. You open it up, and there were already Balvin stems and Bad Bunny stems on it, and you're like,
Right.
okay. And this is a record. And then like the head of the labels in there, Craig is in there. It's like it was wild. That's when I met Party and her engineer all the time, Evan. He's amazing.
Yeah, Evan's dope. Yeah, Evan's super sick. Yeah.
So then since then I've done like a bunch of stuff for her, but like a lot of like I get to like do a lot of tuning stuff,
Right.
which is really fun. Like Be Careful, for example. If you ever listen to that hook, that was the first song I ever did that I heard on the radio.
Wow.
And going to work my little AV job, hearing that on the radio for the first time, bawling.
Yeah,
Like,
oh my
goodness, I can imagine.
I bounced that out of my computer.
I did that, but it was wild because I did tune it 3 times because
Right.
the label wanted her to sound like a singer. She didn't want to sound like a singer, so I had to make her sound good enough but bad enough.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
So that was like a
Wow.
note that they gave you, like, hey, make it sound, because that's wow.
Yeah.
Because in my head, honestly, when she did that, I was like, word?
And it sounded very natural.
natural.
It
Thank
sounded
you.
very,
She's a-
very natural.
Just
Wow.
I'm not gonna lie, this Melodyne epidemic, man. I gotta
Melodyne
join.
epidemic.
You gotta tune in.
Because this is new to me. I'm from the autotune.
Yeah.
I'm primarily working R&B.
Right.
Yeah.
I haven't opened Melodyne a lot in a bunch of my sessions. However, we talked about it earlier because we saw that whole Dropbox that Drake put out.
Oh.
And in one of the clips, he was like, "All right, everybody got to get out. We got to do the Melodyne process." And
He's
we're
like, you can't stay for
You
the
can't
Melodyne.
stay. You can't have
Yeah, you
anyone
can't
around you.
Yeah,
Which is
because you know how Melodyne is, and shout out, the device. We got it in
Yeah.
Pro Tools ARA now.
Oh, it's the best.
Lit, like just got it
It's the
inside.
best.
I hate it.
So freaking, when we hit it, and you know how it's like,
Yeah, but I never do that.
what do you do?
I don't know. know why people. Okay, listen.
Put me on.
No hate, no tea, no shade. But if you hold it down, it's telling you the note that the piano thinks it is.
Right.
It's not showing you what it actually is.
Right.
Because the pitch curve can be different.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
So instead, going by with the arrows, the left and right arrows, or whatever, that is a way more accurate way to
Understood.
tell what you're doing.
Okay, because I do notice that sometimes even when I change it, I'm like, and then I do it, I'm like, nah, I don't like that. It just still doesn't even sound right.
Because you use your arrows, and you can do command, and then like up, down, it'll play like the actual blob.
The whole blob.
Instead of just, it'll be like if it's like
You can actually the full cake, like the measure, like wow, gotcha, okay. Because I'm gonna be honest, I haven't used autotune since school. Like, excuse me, Melodyne since school when they first, kind of brought it to us. And now that it's in Pro Tools, like native, now I'm like, let me open it back up. I remember one time I had a bass line. It was already burnt in, like it was just audio.
Yeah.
And I remember I was like, if this does this is fire. And I just wanted to change one note in my bass, and I literally turned it on, went to the bass, moved it down, and I was like, that's
like
fucking
this
cool.
shit.
The sickest
Yeah.
thing of all
I was like,
time.
yeah,
This is crazy.
Sold.
It's a cheat code.
But the thing about Melodyne, that's how I built my career, like in the beginning, because I tuned like a singer, not like an engineer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's how I made my name,
Right.
like, for the first
Wow.
whatever.
Right. But that's why your stuff sounds so natural. Like,
She's a singer.
yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm working late. 'Cause I'm a singer.
Like, I'm dead. I'm so dead.
I will say, like, when he played going back to your project, when
Yeah.
he played some of the records, it threw me.
It did.
It really
Yeah.
threw me because it's nothing like what I saw in your muso. So I wanted to ask, I know you mentioned earlier, like, depending on what genre, you'll change your technique. How do you become so proficient in all of these different sound? Because I'm sure you don't approach every genre the same. You know what I mean?
No, you gotta. It's really interesting just listening to a lot of things, but I think also remembering that as a vocal producer and all that kind of stuff, emotion is the thing.
Yeah.
Right? So like no matter what genre it is, it's just how do we convey that emotion?
Right.
And that'll be different ways, based on the different rules for that. For example, I worked in Mexican regional music last year, right?
Interesting.
Had never
Okay.
done that before.
Right.
And like there's some rules, like you can, for harmony, you can have la segunda voz, but it's just one harmony line that will go with that one lead line. There's no doubling, there's no anything.
Oh,
It's
wow.
like there's things like that you learn, but overall it's the same thing. Is you
Right.
want the people to feel the
Yes.
emotion that you're saying, hey,
Right.
this is what I feel. Do you want to feel it too?
Absolutely. And
right.
what really threw me off the most was seeing all of that, and then also Broadway.
Broadway.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
what did I do?
Hamilton.
Hamilton.
I've seen you with a few credits in like a
Grease.
few like
Oh,
Broadway.
Grease Rise of the Pink Ladies. Yeah, that was wild.
How did that
What is
happen?
what is
gotta-
that?
I
What
gotta-
are you-
about to think,
hey
like, did she
Simone,
start-
what are you doing?
Was she
Like,
a theater
know.
kid? Like, what
yeah,
was this?
we
I
seen
did start
it
as a
too,
theater
and we
kid.
were like trying to
Which
piece
was crazy.
together like
You brought up with Be Careful. That was the first time you're hearing one of your like exports on the radio as a hit record, and I'm just like going back to where LJ said with the muso credits. You scroll down like 4 entries down, and it's Wait For It, like one of the best songs off the Hamilton album.
he loves that.
I'm like,
by the way.
how, just how?
Yeah, and in what capacity? Like
For
as
real,
far as your
yeah.
contribution,
Engineering,
You're right.
tuning, yeah.
Huh.
So
Straight
like
up.
for Grease Rise of the Pink Ladies, I vocal produced, engineers, and sang background vocals on 20 something songs on the show, which was wild. That was wild.
was a lot.
It was so cool, but it was. Yeah, it was so cool, but it was so much.
Right,
And
I
it's
can
like tuning
imagine.
everything too, right? Only me. Everything was just me.
Right.
And as far as like vocal production goes.
sure.
And it was also most of the people that were there, the actors, whatever, had never been to studio before.
Oh, wow.
So it was so special. It was one of my favorite experiences ever because
Right.
I got to create that safe space with them and like watch their confidence grow as the sessions went on. And
Right.
like, I was being given the script so I can be like, okay, this is what I get to like portray emotionally, like in the
Right.
vocal recording
Right.
is so cool to me.
That's
so
a
that was
wild
yeah.
process. Like, I'm just saying that process. You got the script, so you can kind of feed off of like the energy of what it was, and then
Yeah.
help them get
Find
that
the mood
across.
And that's what it was. It was a really wild process. I'd never been a part of anything like that because I
Right.
had done film and TV before, but normally it's like, okay, go work on this song,
Right.
whatever. This was you're there every day. Okay, you get this actor for 2 hours. You get this actor for 1 hour. These,
Right.
it was Organization City.
I can imagine. And my question, as far as the recording process and stuff like that, you also, obviously engineering, right?
Yeah.
So you're like kind of picking mics and things of that nature
Yeah.
and stuff. So like what is, okay, let's start here.
Yeah.
For you, when you did like the thick of it and stuff
Yeah.
like that. I know you obviously now I know Bent was first, like actually the latest.
Yeah.
You know what I'm trying
Yeah,
to say.
yeah.
What is kind of like your vocal chain that you
Yeah.
like for you personally?
Yeah.
On your vocals.
So the thick of it was done on a U87 because that's what I had.
Okay.
And that
Let's
came from
He loves. Yeah, he's a
U87. But that came from when I was at Berkeley. We did a mic shootout on my voice, and like that's what I liked the best. So I got a U87.
Right.
First, I built one. I had like one I had built.
Yeah.
And then I saved up and I got one, you know,
Right.
and it's like, okay, you do that.
Right.
But then I started just loving the SM7. So the bent vocal's done on an SM7. It's just my demo vocal.
Right. And you just kept it. And
I
that
just
was
kept it because it was the right emotion.
Yeah.
Because when I was writing, you know, like when you do your melody passes?
Yes.
My first melody pass for Bent, I sang the hook through and then outro part through with all the lyrics, and I
Right.
kept that.
Oh,
because
wow. Yeah.
I was feeling a lot of feelings. I was trying to get them out.
You
I'm
pressed
gonna
play
keep it.
and you said, "Nah, that's it."
And
That's
I'm
the
not
one.
changing that. Like then it'll be like too like, I don't know.
Damn. Right.
Yeah.
You
But
captured the emotion. Like, on it.
100%.
Yeah.
But the thick of it vocals were done like just with the UAD version of a 1073 and a CL1B.
Okay.
Then now I have a 1073 and a CL1B at home. So
Gotcha.
most of the vocals that I do now at home are I have a Soyuz 017.
Oh,
too.
nice. Wow. Classic. Okay.
So the cover of Like I Want You that I have out,
Yeah.
if you've heard that at all, that was the first thing that I did on my Soyuz, and
Right.
because it really inspired me, like getting
Wow,
it.
that sound,
because like I was like, wow, I'm hearing detail in my voice I've never heard before.
Right. Understood.
Wild, like the detailed high end. It's so beautiful.
I'm about to ask you what you liked about the Soyuz, like for real, because
Yeah.
I don't know many people that just casually have one.
Oh,
By the
yeah.
way, so
Yeah.
what did you like
it's not
about it?
casual, it's an expensive microphone.
I know,
but-
that's why I was
Yeah,
like-
I know. I mean, it's one of those things. So, so we met the people with Soyuz, and
Nice.
they were so lovely. And I think I met them for the first time at NAMM, and like just hearing about like how they hand make all the capsules. And I was
Right.
like, okay, cool. The nerd in me was like, cool. and then I did a shootout of it. We matched the capsules up of that one versus the 251.
Okay.
Okay.
Right. The Elam.
It is wild. They're like exactly the same. Even when you look at like Pro Q and you look at the frequency response,
Yeah.
except for Soyuz has a little bit more detailed high end.
Wow. So it's like super
sounds like a
dead
plus to
right
me.
there.
Exactly.
That's a
And
Interesting.
So I was like, wait, what? And then I just fell in love with it on my vocals. I thought, shoot, now I have to buy it.
And you were sold on it. That was it.
I was sold on
So
it.
it's that detail high end that really, really attracted to you, like
Yeah.
for because you're saying I'm hearing details in your voice that you never heard.
Yeah.
But in high end, sometimes do you ever notice what high end? It's like high end. It's just like okay, it's high end. But then when you hear like a mic that's really capturing you, like oh, that high end feels like way more
different.
sparkly and
100%.
just more detailed.
Yeah.
Got
Have you guys ever used the Mic DSP P606 EQ?
No, I never used it.
Oh, so
do you
highly
like about it?
recommend.
Uh-huh.
So I've always just thought that I literally just put it on to boost my high end, like 10K and up.
Right.
And then I was at NAMM again this year or the year before, and you know Stuart White, Beyonce's
Of course, shout
engineer?
out Stuart.
Shout out
Yeah, shout out
So
Stuart.
he comes over, he's talking to me too. He's like, oh my God, that's the same thing that I do. That's my favorite EQ for high end. And then we're talking to Colin, who makes all the Mic DSP stuff. He's like,
Yeah.
he's like, that's crazy. You guys can hear it. Colin is so cool. If you guys have ever
he's
met
a
Colin.
nerd too.
Oh, and
Love
his
Colin.
wife is she's brilliant. She's like an aerospace engineer. His daughter's a
wow.
mathematician.
Wow.
Yeah, they are the coolest family.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
like,
hard.
go Colin. He's like,
Shout out Colin.
So cool.
Uh-huh.
But he's like, it's crazy because it's because there's so much headroom that they built into that high end. So like it basically goes up to like 24K beyond what we can hear.
Right.
Right.
Gotcha.
So that's why it sounds so. It doesn't just sound like crispy.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's why I've always loved it because it sounds so musical.
Right.
To me.
You know what's funny? EQs, let's nerd out. EQs that go above like 20,000, like I have a palette of them, right?
Yeah.
Where, for instance, the Mog EQ, the Air EQ from Eosis, they have one too, and I love those. Like when I'm looking for certain, like on vocal sounds, Fresh Air, which one day we need to get to the bottom of Fresh Air.
I know.
Yeah, fact.
Fresh Air does the thing you needed to
It's
do.
like what you
Literally.
doing? Like,
They said-
where did you get this from? Like I feel like those EQs that go over 20,000 have all of them are so different, and they all have a different characteristic, and it's not more of a brightness that you hear, it's more of a brightness that I feel.
Yeah.
Like it's really interesting that you say
100%.
that. So what was that one called? Because I'm about to, by the way, that I know people are gonna run to that EQ.
Yeah.
What's the name of the EQ again?
Yeah.
DSP, which one?
The P606 is in their filter bank.
Okay, so the filter
plugins,
bank.
yeah.
Okay, P606, and use that for high end.
I use it for everything.
So question, since we're nerding out, as far as like compression, like what is like kind of like your favorite compressors that you're using right now, like and stuff like that?
So I always use a CL1B.
Okay, you want to
classic
run
like
one.
that.
I can't beat it.
But you know what's funny? My friend Dan, he's a producer. He was making fun of me because I have my CL1B at home, but for my vocals, I don't insert it.
So you don't even bother with it.
in my brain, when it's on and going through it, I'm getting some kind of warmth from the tubes. Do I know if that's correct from the circuitry of it? No. But in my brain, that's what's happening. Because, I don't know, I'm so sensitive to compression on my voice.
I hear you.
Especially going in. Also, I don't know, when you guys record yourself, do you listen to yourself? Because I mute it.
I listen to myself.
Yeah.
I've gotten so I used to be that guy, but I'm so used to myself. Like I'm cool,
Yeah.
but I didn't know. For you, that's crazy to know that you
It's
do
the
that.
best.
You just like don't want to hear
I
yourself.
want to hear myself in the room.
I hear
because
you.
I'll get too much into vocal producer brain of trying to perfect things.
Right.
And I don't want to do that. I just want to emote.
I feel you.
You know what I'll say when when I do have it muted and I'm closed off, I do feel like my performance is a bit better. Like
Ooh.
I kind of feel like I focus on because I used to do
Yeah.
that. Like I used to sometimes. Well, back in the day when I wasn't too used to like even just doing background like harmonies and stuff. Back then I was that guy like, oh, mute that, let me just do it, and then I play it back. Now I've gotten used to it, but I feel like I would always get a really good performance when everything is muted and I'm just hearing the natural like-ness, not a word, of my actual vocal performance. So that's interesting. I'm shocked that you do that. Like
I think
Yeah.
naturalness is a word.
Naturalness
make
is a
it-
word.
Naturalness. is-
naturalness.
That's a good word.
It's a good word. Naturalness. We should
Shout
keep
out
that.
Webster.
Shout out Webster's.
Webster.
Yeah, Webster's dictionary. For
But
sure, for
going
sure.
back to, I totally didn't finish answering your question before.
Okay.
Really quick, my ADHD is like woohoo. But you're asking me what I like to record my vocals on.
Yeah.
So much of it is SM7 these days.
Yeah,
I love
You know what? Is it? Do you think it's like more of like because it's more on the mid-rangey kind of side, like the more like bottom of the vocal is
The
getting
bottom
grabbed?
of the vocal, and I think it's also how powerful I can be into it and how much the capsule can withstand.
For sure, because
That's
dynamic,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
Let me ask
Can
you
I
this.
be honest? It's like I'm sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah.
For me, it's a convenience thing, man.
Yeah, I hear you.
I like
Yeah.
laying and singing. I'm not the best singer. I will say the one of my biggest regrets on my project is there's one song that I wrote with a badly captured. It was at some big studio, and usually I record myself, so I don't even try to get the engineer to get my chain right, especially if I'm just writing for someone.
Yeah. Right.
So I'm thinking demo vocal. I'm
Yeah.
not thinking too much of it. I know it's being captured
100%.
terribly through this SM7, but the record we made was so good that I ended up keeping it for me. Now, I fell in love with the demo, but I hate my vocal performance on it. But I love my energy. I love the way I'm speaking about it. I'm singing the record.
Yeah.
And I had to re-record that song so much. I still feel like I haven't gotten it right, but I remember telling you, like, bro, it has to be my chain. Maybe something else.
But it's
bro.
just the way
It's
you
so hard to recreate that energy.
Serious.
And, like,
Sometimes, like from the writing thing.
Right.
So, like that happened with my song "Up" that I have out because we sped it up. So normally, with most of my vocals for my thing, I keep the lead vocal that I did when I wrote it. So like I'll make a janky ass beat because I'm just like I have feelings. Make a janky ass beat and I'll sing and I'll write. I'll do my whatever.
Right.
And normally that's the vocal that stays after we produce it out.
Right.
But with that one we sped it up.
Interesting.
So I couldn't.
So you-
It took me so long
Well,
to
to
redo that
really
vocal.
do that. Yeah. Yo, I'm 1,000%.
Yeah.
Like I'm the guy. Like I'm so like. And back to like the spiritual part that you said, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where when I'm recording a song and I'll do the same thing, like it'll just be the guitar, like melody. I'm like, holy shit, gotta record, it's coming. So I'll like literally record and literally I'll be telling people on the live, like I'll be like, that's the vocal, that's it. Like that's what was given to me in this moment.
Yeah.
It's so hard for me to redo a record. I'll say rarely out of 10 records, maybe one of them I'll be like, I match the
got it.
energy. Like
Yeah.
it's so hard to do that.
Because then it's like you're acting instead of being.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh, right.
So different.
That's
Right.
another bar.
Yeah, that
Guys,
was
have
bars.
bars.
Yeah, she got bars, bro.
Bars.
She did
But even like Ben, it's so funny. Like you listen to that vocal, and I had the music playing through the speakers.
Oh.
You know.
Oh wow.
So it's like.
But you just
Yeah.
win.
Yeah.
It didn't.
Beautiful.
Who cares?
Yeah.
Fact.
Because that's the thing. I think that sometimes, like, I think you learn all the rules in engineering to
Right.
break. It's like because
break
then
them.
it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we're just making art. Like
Oh,
if
yeah.
it feels good. I tried to redo the vocal for Ben. I hated it.
You hated it. You
word.
couldn't do it. It's so funny you say about it. We our technical brains, like we have to turn
Yeah.
it off sometimes. Because I'll be honest with you, like even with my last project, I was clipping my converters on purpose, and I was like, I'm not gonna tell anyone I did this, but it sounds. I love the way it sounded.
sounds.
Like,
Yeah.
and so what? You know what I mean? Like at the end of the
Yeah.
day. So when it comes to you, and obviously, you know, you did back and forth in between kind of being your own artist now, and shout out to you. I feel like you got the bug now. I could tell that with you. You like first project, you got over it. Now you're like, oh, my next one's coming out. Like it kind of starts to snowball.
Yeah.
As far as you know, when you're in the studio with these artists and stuff like that, like when they first come in, like this is a new relationship and things of that nature. Like, what is it like your approach to these artists, like when they first come into the studio, like for you to produce them and just kind of like in that environment?
Yeah. just being a blank palette. So it's like if they're going through anything, they want to talk about anything, like whatever, just being that blank safe space,
Right.
and making sure that it's known, like, hey, if you like, it's creating the energy, not even always saying it, but just
Right.
like, yeah, you're free to mess up because literally nothing happens.
Right. Yeah.
We just do it again.
Right.
And I think that's like the thing. You have to make your artists feel really safe to mess up so that they can do the things that are magic.
Understood.
Because those things are usually on the edge.
Got
Right?
you. Right.
Yeah,
right.
the edge of their ability.
And you're
yeah.
pushing them.
Oh my gosh, I actually have a good question.
Let's go,
Yes.
Jay.
Welcome to the J Corner.
Welcome to the
Hello,
J
everyone.
Corner. The J Corner.
So you just talked just now about like creating safe spaces for the artists that you're working with.
Yeah.
And I also know that you do a lot of advocacy in general for creating a lot of safe spaces and opportunities. So also as another woman who's like in production and engineering, right?
Yep.
I wanted to know, one, how also you create those safe spaces on the production and engineering side.
Yeah.
And then actually also, do you see kind of like the role of women evolving within the industry on the engineering side as well?
Yeah. I think, great question. I think that it's getting better. Like everything's always getting better. But it's so hard. Like, so not growing up. I mean, when I was in college and I was studying engineering, like people like Anne Mincielli. Oh my gosh, that was like my idol, like whatever. And Leanne Unger, like whatever. There were these people that just like did the thing. Susan Rogers. It's like, wow, how do I be like that? Now I think with social media, with visibility comes normalcy. And I think that that's also one of the big reasons why I'm so vocal and visual. Like I put myself out there in that way, because I think that like it's becoming less and less that I'll go into a room and people be like, oh my God, you're a girl. Whoa, I've never worked with a female engineer. Blah, 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 blah. And it's like, it's cool, right? But like, that shouldn't be like you know what I mean?
Yeah, it should be like that,
it should be
yes.
more normal
Yes.
than that.
Yeah.
Than like,
Understood.
like whatever. So I think it's definitely getting better. I think the way that to continue to create safe spaces is once someone works with a woman, especially women working with women, whatever, there's something really cool because I think we have like the empathy superpower a little bit. Yeah.
And I think I don't think there's anyone else that a human feels more comfortable with. You know,
so that's the thing, and like to be
Yeah.
able to bring that like aspect into
Yes.
things, it's like, oh wait, I didn't know this was a thing. I'm working with an artist right now that she's been doing things forever, and she was always only with men.
Right.
And this is the first time, she's working with women, and now she has an all-female team because she was like, she said to me one day, it's been really amazing, but she was just like, I've never felt so safe in a session.
Right.
And it's wild.
Yeah.
But that's kind of like why the advocacy is so important, is to continue to normalize that stuff. And anyone that I train, I always make sure that it's always women or non-binary folks, because we're trying to correct the imbalance here.
Got you. Understood.
know?
Right.
Yeah.
You know what's funny? We had spoken to, and I forgot her. I'm so sorry, and I wish I could remember her whole company. We met her in Canada. Excuse me. She's from Canada.
Oh,
we met her at AES.
Yeah.
Or we met her.
Gin
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, with
Oh,
CQ Audio.
CQ.
Love them.
Thank you so much, because I would have felt so
Listen,
bad if I
got you.
didn't
I'm
get it.
in that space heavy.
Oh my gosh! And we had such a good time with her. And
She's
she,
amazing.
she was opening out like our minds to a bunch of stuff. She was just like even little things. And I hope, I'm sorry if I'm messing up a business opportunity for you here, but she was like, "Yo, like, where's the pink XLRs?" Or she was just naming things that I was like, yo, that's so true. Like, we don't. She was like, that's what you don't even realize. Like, it's in front of you. Like, just like little things. Even when she was explaining like the ergonomics of like, one time she was explaining like the ergonomics of like a desk, and she was like, you could tell this wasn't made for women. Like, it was something furniture wise that she was. She was just like we had a nice conversation with her, and she was just kind of like, just opening out my mind to like a bunch of stuff that I just never noticed, because obviously this is a super male dominated field. But it was so interesting to get that perspective. But again, to go back to normalizing this type of stuff, this is why, even for us, and I'll be so honest with you, like, I wanted to talk to people like you, right?
Yeah.
Because just seeing what you do and how good you are at it, I just know for other women that are actually watching us, which they're there, you know what I mean? Like, for the
We
most
exist.
part. Yeah, exactly. I think it's important to hear your story and to hear like what you deal with on that side, because I can never like speak for you. I don't know, you know what I mean? I don't know what it is on your side of the engineering side, but it's great to get that perspective from you and hear that.
Yeah, and I just, for anyone that's watching, like, and feels alone, like, in that space,
Right.
the community we exist. We're just spread out.
Yeah.
Like that's the only thing. So organizations like She Is the Music, we're moving the needle. I have an organization called Soundtrack Mixers. We do community building events.
Right.
There's so many. You can get on one of the databases too, so that people can then like if you're looking for a producer, I encourage y'all too. If you're looking for a writer, whatever, producer, engineer, like to look in these databases that exist to try to find intentionally find more women, non-binary folks to work with.
Gotcha.
Because we know how to do things.
Yeah.
And we bring in perspective. It's so important.
She was schooling us.
Oh, she's the best.
She's nasty. Like, she's amazing.
Because the movement I see the most is She Is the Music. So shout out to Alicia.
Yeah, and that's Anne.
Alicia.
It's Anne and Alicia.
It's Anne and Alicia.
Wow.
Shout out to Anne and Alicia.
Facts.
Alicia, we had this convo. I think it was behind the paywall.
What?
But we had the convo about Alicia, like my perspective almost shifting on her, not in a bad way, because she's always been fucking amazing
goat,
to
like,
me.
just crap,
But
yeah.
I saw a show on Netflix. I forget the name. I'm trying to remember it. But it's like this behind the music type show.
Mm-hmm.
And she,
Oh, yeah.
Yes, and she went to the UK to work on her project.
Right.
And it was a song that I really liked from the project. So I was surprised that this was on Netflix. Song called 3 Hour Drive, and she did it with Sanfa, and I'm seeing her produce the record. Like,
Right.
they wrote it to just chords, and then
Right.
I'm seeing her get behind the MPC and make this beat. And I'm like,
Really? I've never
wait,
seen that.
Alicia. And she's killing it. Like, the beat is
Smoking it.
amazing. So I'm like, Alicia is nice.
nice.
Like, because I think the
Yup.
piano, I think
Vocal.
the
Yeah.
co-production she's done with her husband, I
Yeah,
think
it was
her
his.
vocals, her writing,
Yeah.
and she's always like just been
Right.
on that list for me as far as her pen. But
Yeah.
seeing that made me say, oh shit.
Right.
Alicia
Yeah.
is nice.
It's nasty, dog.
And we don't get to
So
see
sick.
that side from just any of our artists, our favorite artists ever. Like, we always think unilaterally they're a performer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But people
So-
are multifaceted, and I think
Right.
that that's like the cool thing now. I think for a while it was like, okay, you kind of had to pick a lane and
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
Like I was told by a mentor, like, if you vocal produce, you don't sing anymore. So that's why I stopped singing for 5 years.
Oh, what?
And I know, okay, now I can look at that and be like, that wasn't a good thing. But at the time, I'm like, okay, I'm hungry. I'm like, okay, yeah, you know,
Yeah, I'm
like
just
I
a
want to
vocal
achieve
producer.
this thing. These are the
Right.
goals that I want to reach. But it's okay to be multifaceted and to walk in that power, because like that's bringing that to the table. The fact that I'm a singer is such an asset in my vocal production, my
Sure.
engineering. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
The fact that you're a musician, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's what makes us full humans.
Right.
That's literally, I got into this argument. Not really an argument. I
funny.
heard, so, nah, this, I'm not gonna lie, this pissed me off. Because a few weeks ago, so long story short, I'm starting this like artist career on this other side of my life. And somebody that I worked with for a long time had reached back out. We were clearing some stuff or whatever. And they told me that same thing. It was just like, what the hell does he want to do? Because I produce, I write, I vocal produce, whatever, and I'm clearing a bunch of production stuff. I got a podcast.
Yep.
But it's like, I'm also being honest, like, bro, just pick, you know what I mean? It's like, no,
No.
fuck you.
Why?
With all due respect,
Why?
because I think that
Yeah.
makes me more valuable. Like,
Yes.
I'm able to rely less for me,
Right.
but also provide more for whoever.
Facts.
And I just
Yes.
love doing it. Fuck
Yeah. You,
Absolutely.
and I'm not gonna lie, I did let it bother me for a bit. You know, shout out
'Cause
to
it's
shout out
hard
to
to not.
therapy. But
Yeah.
it was hearing that is something I did need to hear. So
for sure.
man,
Yeah,
Yeah, it's so real.
What I'll say is like kind of going back to what you said as far as like people kind of pigeonholing you a bit, you know, with things like, for instance, we all do music, you know, we all
Yeah.
have our own careers and stuff like that, but I also like to create content
Yeah.
like you do,
100%.
educational and stuff like that. But I think we gotta throw that out. You know what I mean? Like I remember back in the day, I don't know if you remember this talk too, where people used to be like, you like an artist couldn't have a podcast, like an active artist having a podcast was like that's
that's
weird.
still kind of
So
unwritten. Yeah,
It is kind of unwritten, right? It's still there, but I
Yeah.
feel like that's slowly
It's starting
like
to phase out.
Yeah, because even for me as an artist, like even though this podcast is super technical, I think it also adds another layer of people that literally have more respect for your
Yes.
music because they hear we get to talk about it.
Absolutely. And to be able to have that window into the behind the scenes thing
Right.
of like, okay, seeing like the technical aspect of it, to see like all the layers to it. I think it's so awesome.
Yeah.
And it's also, we spoke about this morning because I don't be in LA a lot. I love New York. I love Long Island. But my label's
Shout out
out here.
LA.
So literally last night I just went to my label. No one was there but the engineer. I was like, we talked for
And we
hours.
chopped it,
and I
yeah.
told him this is one of the biggest gifts I could have ever received in the industry, was to be able to have this, because sometimes the industry turns into work, and this is the best hobby that is still work, but it's not. You know what I mean?
You can't make me hate this.
Exactly, and the fact that we're all in the industry, like we might end up in a session, and now we could just nerd out while somebody's vocal warm ups,
or somebody trying to look
that.
cool. Like,
and it's
bro.
My
I'm
biggest thing is
with
like,
the engineer.
it's not only is it a fact of not only can we do all this shit and we're great at it, but who the hell is gonna stop us, man?
That's a fact.
Like,
Literally.
Because I want
Ourselves.
to. Yeah,
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Jay, you had another question by any chance?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, one, if you had any more like additional advice specifically for like women or non-binary engineers or vocal producers or producers just in general, just to kind of like get their foot into the door, like how they should approach like being the only woman in the room, and things like that. And then also if there should be any upcoming, you know, like producers or engineers or artists specifically about women that we should be focusing on or paying attention to and putting it on.
Yeah, that's a big old question. Okay. So to get your foot in the door, I think that there's a big balance that you need to figure out of persistence versus annoyance, which is like, it's hard to figure out. But I think making sure you're really prepared to be into any room you want to be in, and then know that you're prepared when you go into that room, so that your sense of self, the imposter syndrome can go away a little bit, even if you're in a big room, because you know your skills. Like, I can go into these big rooms now because my muscle memory is sick, even if I'm like, oh my God, this is sick, this is a cool artist. My body knows what to do, right? So it's like getting yourself used to that. I think that finding a mentor is really important, even if it's not a mentor that you're like working with actively, but someone to be like, okay, this is what I'm working on now. Listen to this. Like, what do you suggest like for this? But someone not whom just you admire their work, but you admire who they are as a human. Because that's really, really important in this industry.
Yeah, for sure.
Building out your community is everything. And I know it's like sounds silly, but like posting on social media, let people know what you do. And like showing your work, because that's the only way people are going to find you. I used to never post because I was like, oh, I just want to be known for my work. Stupid, you know? But, and like, even when people ask me all the time, like, how do I start vocal producing if I haven't vocal produced? I always say to vocal produce your friends that aren't singers, because it's all to build that toolbox of communication that you have, is how do I communicate the same thing in so many different ways? And that's how you can build that really well. And then also just be really open with what you don't know, because it's okay to not know things. Like, you don't have to know everything, especially in the beginning. Like, I did not at all. But yeah, there's a lot, but I think that the community piece is so important, because if you find that community of other women, non-binary folks that are like doing similar things to you, and you end up in a situation that's not that great, you have a community to bring that to, and you could be like, hey, is this weird? Versus you have no one to talk to about it, and then that's like when dangerous things can happen. So yeah, and you never know what's going to come from your community, just from your friends, like even just like as you branch that out. So, you know, feel free to join our Soundtrack Mixers community, She's Music, like all these different organizations, finding those communities and becoming a part of them, because you never know where the work is going to come from and where that break's going to come from. But just always focus on, doing the best.
Dude.
That was a long ass answer. I don't even know if I did it.
Let me tell you something.
Hope I did it okay.
Zaire, clip that. Like, I'm you said it and that came from somewhere spiritually, but I'm telling you that shit it's gonna help a lot of people. No cap. Like, I was like, wow, like you nailed that.
That's
like,
because
what'd you say, Jay?
Because I was gonna say, like, just speaking to that from like my personal like experience, like I like when I first started years ago, like and it's only been like 3 years, you know what I mean? And I had like no background whatsoever necessarily in the engineering side. Like, I was a musician, but nothing on the engineering side.
We threw you in the fire.
And yes, and I literally was like just somebody who was like coming to Devvon's studio, just like, look, like, can I learn? You know, can I stay around? Can I hang by and stuff like that? And then just over time, like getting to know the guys, just like having that safe space, like always making me feel included, you know, and things like that. And then, you know, even in times when I was like, oh, I'm not necessarily like knowing what's going on, and like, should I speak up and things like that. And then like one thing that for me like is a memory like I'll always hold dear is like, I remember one time when we were changing over the whole system in the studio. And like it was all of us, and we were there like the whole entire night, and we were just picking things apart, putting things together. And I remember one time Devvon was like, okay, you're gonna put this together from start to finish. You know what I'm saying? So there were even times where I was just like, I don't know if I'm doing this right, this, and the third. And I'd be like, all right, let me ask the question. He'd be like, you know what, I'm proud of you for asking that question, because I knew you were gonna need to ask that question.
Right.
So So, you know, I do want to say kudos to the audio engineers and help me, Devvon.
That's
for
bad.
being
That's
that
cool.
success.
All right, cool. Dang, I forgot about that.
But that's like the big thing, because I think that people think that they need to know everything right away, but that's not what it is. You just have to know to like ask for help and to like be trying your best, because people I think underestimate the amount that personality and how you treat people, like your vibe, like does for your career versus your technical knowledge.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. We all know a bunch of like, sorry to say, douchebags that are super like,
talented.
I ain't gonna lie, he's a douchebag, but man, that guy in all
I'll
world
work
is
with
good.
the kind whack dude before the.
Yeah.
Because we get to make music for a living. Like, that's a beautiful thing. That's a gift. And we want to do it with people that like.
I like do that too. Yeah,
straight up. Like, oh my gosh, that's so true. Like, you know, there's been times we've had sessions where, you know, somebody's really talented. Like, this is a talented person, but they were mean as shit. Like, and it made the experience so like unenjoyable, to the point where I know the person that we had to give the record to and submit it to, they was like, so you gonna finish? I was like, honestly, yo, like, this is where the record's at. I don't want to I'm not inspired. Like, it's kill. I wasn't feeling the vibe in the studio. They were really mean. They were talking down to me. Like, I was like, I'm cool. And that is a thing. You know what I mean? Like, that was
is
it.
a real thing. There are people to this day, like, I don't give a fuck what your stats are. So that just gave me flashbacks, man. I ain't like that.
I know.
This is people. I would just never
left that
work
session.
with you.
And you know what? It took so much from it.
I'll be real honest. I might need therapy. I hold grudges. Like, I'll hold the grudge.
I love how like 5 minutes ago you're like, shout out to therapy.
Shout out to therapy, though.
like, I might need it.
I might need it, but I hold grudges, bro.
I hold grudges. Hey, man. I like this, man.
No, I
got one more question, actually. I'm sorry.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
Random.
Okay.
You went to school at LI?
Huh?
High school in LI?
Yeah.
What high school?
I hated my high school. Comswag.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, wow.
All right. You guys were ops. I was Sachem. All right.
Okay.
you was
But
big
I
section?
had friends from there because I did all the vocal stuff. Of course I did. Like the all state jazz and
Nisma.
vocal jazz. Like, oh,
And ladies and gentlemen, you show my face, we're all lost. If you're not from Long Island, we don't know. Courtney and I went to something called New York City Public Schools. It wasn't that great. You can see Courtney and I have like a hat on. He has a do-rag. You can tell our lives are a little different. Our education is a little different. Continue.
Man. Shout out to Nisma, man.
Shout out to Mia.
Scamia, all of that.
I'm at Jay. Yo, y'all really big Long Island. I ain't not gonna lie.
I was in Scamia, Hamia. Yeah.
Listen, that vocal jazz stuff was my
Man.
favorite. All state jazz was my favorite.
That is crazy.
Shout out to Scamia.
Listen, you know, Simone, you know, I knew, you know, obviously I can get your personality and stuff like that through social media and stuff like that, but you are genuinely the person that I saw you on, like, you are genuinely who you are on the internet, or who you are in person. I absolutely appreciate that, for real.
Same thing with y'all.
Heck
like,
yeah.
And I was like, that's why when y'all asked me, I was like, yeah, of course.
Yeah. I was like, cool. I was like, yo, like, I know you don't know me from a hole in the wall. I said, but I'm just going to shoot this. And I was like, hopefully you just want to. So thank you even for reaching back out and just like showing up and stuff. Like, we really appreciate it. Like, you were really one of the people I was like, I really want to get you on the pod and stuff.
Absolutely.
I saw your, let me just say this before we get out of here. I saw you with the chromatic auto-tune.
Video.
Kind of talk how much of a nerd is my algorithm, right?
Yeah.
And then the second time I saw you was on Just for the Record.
Oh, I love
And I was
them over
like,
there.
shout out Moritz and
Moritz.
Denise and all them over there. Like, I love them. And
Wait, was it like that ad that I kept seeing on the gram? Did they run ads with it?
I don't know if it was an ad, but it was coming up a lot, right?
Like, I ain't gonna lie, you took over my timeline for
for
like
a minute. I ain't gonna
yeah.
lie.
Listen, good.
You had like a 3-month span. I was like, yo,
I was like-
Simone, like, what's this? Like, who is this? But
I clicked it already. I promise.
I already know. I literally started to know, like I know her, like the parts of the video and everything. Like, I'm like, when she was like, is that feel good for you? Like, that's good. Like, I started to know like the parts of
Can
the
I be
video.
honest? I'm stealing that. I haven't asked, yo.
Listen, do it.
You need some water? Like, what's the word?
I was just like,
good.
you know what's cool? So I'm a little older, right? Maybe to some people. So I remember seeing you in the process. I was like, damn, that's how it used to be in the studio. I saw you with your pen and the pad. I was like, bro, I haven't seen somebody do that in years. You were like, okay, I was like, look at this doctor here.
And what made it worse was not only half of me said, dang, do I not treat artists as good as I should?
Yo,
and
facts.
then the second half of me said, I've never been treated this way.
No one's ever a pen and a pad.
Yeah.
You wrote my lyrics down. Wow.
I appreciate you.
Thank you. Like,
She
damn.
cares.
So we say that to say, you know, really you're one of a kind, and just we really appreciate all the things you said. I think that, like, I'm so excited to put this out and for
It's
people
gonna
to
help
hear it.
so many people.
It's gonna help Bro, let me say this. Anytime we've said, oh, that's gonna go, like it goes. Like we know.
It goes. Okay, listen. Cool. I'm trying to get like y'all have made a beautiful community here. They have a beautiful because I literally just started my Discord. That shit is so fun. People ask me for tips and I'm like, that shit's fun.
And give it up. Watch after this. Like I promise, they're gonna go crazy. Especially knowing that you're open to it in your Discord. I'll make sure I put a link in the description below for your Discord. I'm gonna put your stuff. Where can they like follow you in the whole nine too? By the way, you can let them know.
So I stream every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday now on Twitch, which is wild.
In.
And I do all my music now. Everything is on Twitch. I do background vocal writing, all the stuff, whatever.
Nice.
I social media. I am Simone Torres. I'm Simone Torres on Twitch. That's where the Discord is. You'll find all that kind of stuff. I sell my vocal production template now. I just released it.
Smart. That good.
Anyone wants it?
Heck yeah. What website? Like what's the website?
SimoneTorres.com.
Of course it is.
What DAWs?
Pro Tools.
Come on, stop it, boys. Stop it, boys.
But maybe
Yo,
I'll do
can I be
one for
honest?
you.
I know we got ChatGPT and this is cool. I need ChatGPT to create an algorithm to convert sessions.
Let me tell you something.
I love ChatGPT so much. He's my friend.
Oh my God. When it comes to email, listen, maybe the message I might have sent you may have gone through ChatGPT. I was like, make this.
To whom it may concern.
To whom it may concern. Hello,
I hope
Simone.
this message finds you well.
I hope this finds you well. You are amazing.
Yo, real quick ChatGPT thing. The new algorithm, the new voice one, if you need to practice another language, it's wild.
HOD. We did patois because he shout out Jamaica.
So sick.
We said, and we was like, no way.
Different dialects.
Yes.
Like, it's insane.
Nuts.
It's so cool.
It's cool though.
I'm trying to fix my no saboness. That's why I'm going to Spain next week. 2 weeks. Yeah.
She's always I'm going. Nice. That's fire. Okay, have fun. Like for sure.
That's supposed to be crazy. Shit.
I just
go for it, Jay.
Sorry, girl.
No, you're good. I just wanted to ask, is there any like up and coming like female vocal producer that you on? Producer, engineer.
Oh wait, that's a really good point. Okay.
Yeah, please.
Deanna Rodriguez she's young mix engineer from Puerto Rico. She's amazing. I think that her work ethic is awesome. She's been doing stuff with us for soundtrack mixers, but her ear is really, really great.
Okay.
She's amazing. Young mix engineer from Puerto Rico and producer. Hold on. Colby Lapola. She's a vocal producer too. And she's on the come up as well. Really, really great. She does more like electronic kind of stuff, like affected vocals, really cool. There's a studio in Nashville called Moxie, if you guys have never heard about it, but it's awesome. It's run by Jordan Hamlin. And it's like in the middle of like the woods in Nashville, and you can go and it's this whole experience to go and record there. It's insane. And then Coda. Oh my gosh, why am I not knowing her last name? Coda Corvette. It's like on Instagram, it's like Coda Corvette or whatever. But she has a studio named Empress Studio in Valley Village. She just opened it up, and I'm really proud of her. So if you're looking for another safe space to record,
say less. I'll make sure. Trust me, you know,
we're gonna tag everything.
Zaire, we're gonna find all of that.
Okay, good. I can send you things.
It's so good. They're gonna find pictures and everything. So we're gonna make sure we clip that. But once again, everybody make some noise for Simone Torres.
Thank you guys.
Heck yeah.
Thank you so
I'm
much.
so glad we finally got to do this. And obviously, if you have anything going on, we post your content all the time, like the stuff you got. So if you have anything else going on, just let us know, and we just love to just be a part of what you got going on.
Amazing.
We'll see you at NAMM too. You would be at NAMM?
I'll be at NAMM.
All right, we'll see you at NAMM. So you'll see
NAMM.
Simone at NAMM as well. And I'm going to take us out. Please make sure you comment, like, and subscribe. Make sure you leave a comment with your @name on Instagram so that we can get you that VIP Gold Edition Rosetta EQ or compressor for the best comment. And also, you can become a paid member of the channel. Realize that our members been saw this video already, and you can get free money in our store, Zoom calls, all kinds of really cool stuff, exclusive videos, and content in the whole nine. This has been a My Ordinary Podcast. Until next time.
And remember, maybe Humanize doesn't do what you think it does. Have a good one.
Have a good one.
Have a good one.